Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Rüdiger Hagedorn and we are broadcasting from our SummerComes event here in New York City, hosted by SAP. And today I have a very special guest. Miro, can you explain who you are and who you work for?
Absolutely. Great to be here with you, Rudy. So my name is Miroslav Dimitrov. I'm the President and Chief Operating Officer of a data analytics company called nwo.ai.
Excellent. So you had just a fantastic presentation in front of our steering committee here in this room, and we all were really impressed by the power of the demo you showed us, and it was about consumer behavior. How would you define consumer behavior in 2022?
Well, that's a great question. I would say that it's fluctuating, right? It's ever changing. I think that's kind of the essence or the result from our work that we do, right? We see that it is changing so rapidly, right? That you can't just, let's say, explain it or just capture it in a moment and say, okay, well, this is the consumer behavior today, right? And I think we saw during the pandemic that the consumer values and behaviors are changing quite rapidly, right? And this is, as mentioned, this is what we do. This is what we're monitoring and analyzing on a daily basis. But if I need to come up with, let's say, one insight that we've seen, it's that consumers today are much more sensitive, I would say, and fast to react, right? And they, it is true that they expect more, especially from the large brands, right? And they're not afraid to speak out and boycott even brands when they see that their values are not represented well enough.
Wow, and we now know that your software actually captures all these little signals and gives insight into what is happening. But we also learned that you have built in a certain power which is looking to the future. So consumer behaviors the next 3 years, can you give us a little hint what that could look like based on your experience and the work with your customers?
Absolutely. So let's start from the beginning, right? To be able to predict anything, right? You need to be able to look and to kind of draw the insights from the right data points, which is, as mentioned, one of the things that we're specializing. So to be able to do that, again, we have to look at the 3 different time dimensions, right? So if you want to know, for example, what, let's say, the demand or the consumer behavior would look like, let's say, during the summer, right? You would use specific sources and specific data points to be able to draw that. Now, I think historically, most of the organizations have been looking at sales data, right, and panel data, and again customer surveys to be able to draw this type of insights. Now, what we've seen, and I think we can both testify to that, is that when people are observed, right, then their behavior is, let's say, changed, right? So, or in simple words, what you say that you do is not actually what you do when you're not being observed, right? So this is why we started looking at alternative data sources to be able to, again, build these signals and understand actually not only what the trend is, but what is driving the trend. So to give you an example, we see a lot of, or let's say a massive shift towards organic products, right? More natural, sustainable products, right? We see people, they're very interested to include more plant-based diet more plant-based products into their diets, right? So again, this is an entire movement towards being more healthy and more conscious about the environment, right? Now, these are the mega trends. And what we are very interested in and what we're working with our clients is to understand the micro moments and micro signals, right? So deconstructing the big to, tangible parts, right, and signals that you can actually use not only to improve your business, right, but to actually connect with your client and to really serve them.
Excellent. Very clear. I mean, you mentioned alternative data sources, you mentioned micro trends, and I also saw today this is nearly all in real time. So this is a huge amount of data that needs to be consumed, captured, analyzed, and put the attention of the one who is seeking an answer. How do you streamline that sheer amount of data? How do you do that? What's the secret sauce here?
I mean, this is exactly why we built the company 2.5 years ago. So we saw that most of the organizations have really very big challenges when it comes to incorporating this type of data. First, because of course we're talking about massive quantity of data, but also because having more is not necessarily mean that you have you'll be able to make the best decision, right? So it's really this capability and I would say knowledge of filtering out the noise, right? So not only having more, but having enough, first of all, and also the right data points and data sets to be able to predict something like this. And so that's kind of the first part. And then the second part is we saw most of the organizations, they are still fighting to basically break down the internal data silos that they have, right? So they're still not fully utilizing all the different information flows that they have within the company. So, we thought, okay, but how can we make this better, right? And how we can help them basically connect better with their consumers. So we created nwo.ai, and so what we do is, again, we analyze all the information ourselves, right? And then we provide literally the access and the answers, if you will, right, to the companies, so that they don't focus on the process, they focus on the outcomes.
Fantastic. And basically you also mentioned that you can start using your tool as of now, basically. There's no special installment necessary. It is quickly available, real time. Fascinating stuff. Demo is available. So if people are now curious about what we are talking, where can they reach you? Where can they reach your company?
I'm happy to share the links to our website and to our social channels. I mean, they can feel free to reach out to me directly or anyone from my team. One thing I wanted to mention, I spent most of my career in the enterprise software, right? And I think most of us who've been working in that space, are kind of used to having these multi-year projects, right, where everything is so complex, you need to wait for so long until the return on investment is seen, right? And in most of the cases, by the time the project is finished, then you see that your business priorities and processes have changed because the world has evolved, right? So this is one of the main things that we wanted to say. Why, for example, we as consumers, if you search for something on Google, you are impatient if you can't find it in 5 minutes, but you are actually willing to wait for 2 years for something to happen, right? When it comes to, okay, what is the next product that I should be building, right? So this is basically the thinking and the concept behind the company. We said, what? In the end of the day, we're the same people, right? So if you're going to the store, you want a fantastic experience, right? Well, if you're buying software, you should have fantastic experience as well, right? And you should not wait. And we're playing basically on this delayed gratification. So you should not wait for 2 years. You should be able to use it immediately. And this is why we built it in this way.
Miro, fantastic interview, fantastic product. Thank you for being with us today with the Consumer Goods Forum. I hope you enjoyed the interview. And Absolutely. We hope to hear from you soon again, somewhere.
Thank you for having me here. It was really great to meet and connect with your audience and with all the amazing professionals here that you've gathered. Happy to come again.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Miro. And head down to the information section to click and connect. And I recommend the demo. Thank you so much. This is the CGF end-to-end value chain pillar broadcasting from the Hudson Yards Tower SAP. SummerComes 2022. Thank you and goodbye.